What's up guys, welcome back to Daniel Talks Football right here on YouTube. I'm Daniel and we are back with another video. In this video today we are going to be rating or grading every single Euro side's campaign so far. The round of 16 is done, and as I have promised quite a few times now, I'm here to grade every single nation's journey so far in this tournament, give you my thoughts on them, and we'll go from there. So we'll start off with what was Group A, in the side of the top Group A, which was Germany, the hosts. I've been really impressed with Germany. I think they are one of the favourites for the tournament. I've said previously, and I said going into the tournament, I think it would be one of Germany, France or England who win it. I would now put Spain into that equation. I think Spain have looked like a really good side. I think it'll be one of those four who ultimately come away with the trophy here. I've been really impressed with Germany. I think they've looked good. I think in that opening game against Scotland, they showed that they've got a lot going for them. Yes, potentially in that Switzerland game when they drew 1-1, it wasn't all that promising from the Germans, but I think they've looked really good. I think they looked good against Denmark, and I'm really excited to see what they can do against Spain on Friday. All in all, I'll give Germany an A. I think they've looked good. I think they've impressed, and I think they're one of the favourites for the tournament. Next up, Switzerland. Now, Switzerland obviously have made it into the quarter-finals and will be facing England on Saturday. Another side I've been quite impressed with really. Now, Switzerland have sort of shocked people. If you think about going into the final eight of this tournament, you wouldn't have particularly expected the Swiss to beat Italy like they did, and they were dominant in that game. As I said, the draw against Germany was definitely a huge positive for this Swiss side. The draw against Scotland, they didn't particularly impress in that, but it was a good opening game victory versus Hungary. For Switzerland, I'm going to be giving them a B+. I think Switzerland have looked promising, and I think they look like a really good side. Next up, Hungary. Now, obviously, Hungary were a side who did not progress into the round of 16, despite finishing third in their group. And I did think that they were semi-promising, maybe. Yes, they lost to Switzerland, but they, did sort of push Germany right to the end with, that 2-0. They made them work for it, and they did look good. And they beat Scotland on the final day with a 99th, 100th minute winner, which obviously we were recording during. I think, Hungary did look alright. I'm not going to come out and say that, I've been really impressed by them. I haven't. And they didn't progress, and you've got to take that into this grade here. But C+, I think. I don't think you can really get anything above. I don't think you can get into the B if you've, been knocked out. But they were one of the two third place sides who didn't qualify, and I think, I think they looked alright. So I think C+ is fair. Then last but not least, Scotland. I was really disappointed with Scotland coming out with only 1 point after the draw to Switzerland, which they did look good in. They got absolutely battered by Germany on the opening day, which wasn't helped by the red card. Yes, I do understand that. But even before that red card, they were getting absolutely dominated by the Germans. And again, in the Hungary game, yes, they looked right, but they weren't promising. They shipped 7 goals in the tournament. I don't know. I'm actually going to have a quick look now, but I did think that must be the highest out of all the teams in the groups. Yeah, nobody shipped more than 7 goals. So I think for Scotland, it's got to be an F. It was a failure for the Scots. Were they expecting to qualify? Potentially not, but you would have expected them to put up a greater performance than what they did. So for me, Scotland, no, F. If I'm going to be nice, I'll give them an E, but I think an F is fair, really. Going into what was Group B now, and we'll start with Spain, who, as I've said, I've been really impressed by Spain. I'm going to be giving Spain another A here, just like I did with Germany. They've won all their games so far. They were convincing against Croatia on the first day when they beat the Croatians 3-0. I thought they looked good versus Italy and ground out a good victory then against an Italian side that people probably would have expected to do more than get knocked out in that round of 16. While it's not the strongest Italian side, it's not as strong as the Italian side that featured at the last Euros. Still think it is a decent Italian side. The win against Albania, they properly ground that out, and then obviously the 4-1 win against Georgia really announced themselves onto the Euro stage. I'm going to be giving Spain an A, as I said. I think they are one of the favourites for the tournament, and I'm really interested to see how they will do against Germany on Friday. Second place in this group was Italy. Now, Italy, I think, in terms of the fact that Italy are the holders, I think a C- is probably fair. Look, in the groups, they weren't all that convincing. Yes, they beat Albania, but a loss to Spain and a draw to Croatia, and then ultimately getting knocked out to Switzerland. I'm not even going to give them a C. I think a D. I think a D plus. A D plus, I think, is fair. I think Italy have really underwhelmed, considering what you would expect out of the holders of the tournament. And yeah, I was unimpressed by Italy. Next up, Croatia. Now, Croatia were the other side who did finish in third place, who did not qualify for the round of 16. 2 draws in there, a draw against Italy and a draw against Albania, with that loss against Spain. It was ultimately not enough for the Croats to qualify. It's a C minus. I don't think there were massive hopes for them coming into the tournament, because that squad is now starting to age. I think they were in a tough group, and to get the draw against Italy, they should have beaten Albania. That would have taken them through. I think a C minus is fair. And then last but not least, Albania. They were in a difficult group, and I did think that they impressed at points. I think the draw against Croatia was a good point, and to only lose to Italy and Spain by 1 goal each, I think there are definitely positives to take out of that for the Albanians. I think D plus. I think D plus will be fair. Moving into Group C now, and I've realised there are an awful lot of groups to get through, so we should probably try and hurry this one up a little bit to make sure this video isn't 30 minutes long. Moving into Group C, and we've got the side that's hopefully going to be coming home to England. Really unimpressed from England so far. I think a C plus. I reckon I do think I'll give Southgate's men a C plus. But a win on the opening game, but then 2 uninspiring draws where we didn't really impress after scoring that first goal against Denmark and then failing to score in the third group game. Yes, we did then go out and win in the round of 16 versus Slovakia, but we should have been doing better. We shouldn't have needed to leave it until the 95th minute and an overhead kick from Jude Bellingham to at least give us a chance and take us to extra time in that. So, for me, England, C plus, Southgate, you need to do better. Next up, Denmark. Now, Denmark are another side who are now out of the competition after their 2-0 loss to Germany. 3 draws were what Denmark managed in the group stage, with draws against England, Slovenia and Serbia. Not particularly inspiring. It was a very boring group, and we all know that. I'm going to give Denmark a standard C. I think they looked fine. I don't think they were particularly impressive, and I think, oh wow. Slovenia, I'm going to give a C plus too, simply because I thought they pushed Portugal right towards the end. And again, yes, there were 3 draws in there to Denmark, Serbia and England, but I thought they looked okay against England, to be honest. I did think at times they were dominating that game. And as I said, I think they pushed Portugal right towards the end of that game. So I will give them I'll give them a C plus. You know what? I'll give them a C plus. I think they've looked okay at points, and I think they can definitely come out of this tournament taking positives, knowing they pushed a Portuguese side right towards the end. And then last but not least, Serbia. I think more would have been expected out of Serbia. I think people did expect Serbia to finish on top of Slovenia, but ultimately that loss to England in the opening game did cost them, with then 2 draws coming after that. It was a very boring group. Group C was, and we all know that. Serbia, it's going to be a D. You should have qualified, and I think there were some good players in that Serbian side. Moving into Group D now, and Group D was excellent. Top of the group, obviously, was Austria. Now, this is a difficult one to judge because they had a really good group stage. I thought against France they impressed. I watched that game when I was on holiday out in Mallorca, and I was really impressed by what they managed in that game. Yes, France ended up coming out on top, but I did think the Austrians did push them all the way, and I was impressed with them. Wins then against Poland and that final day win against the Dutch really then pushed them on in what I thought of the side, and I could have seen them going on to. I saw them beating Turkey, and I'm gutted that they didn't, because now I think I've got to downgrade them for that. I would have very much probably been giving them a B plus, simply for finishing top of what was a difficult group, of which everybody expected France and Netherlands to finish 1 and 2 in. and potentially even Poland to finish third. I would have gone Austria personally, but it was tight between those two. However, the loss to Turkey does downgrade them. I think a B- is fair. I would have probably given them a B+ had it not been for that loss. Had I been doing this, just a few days earlier, it would have been a B+. But I think that loss to Turkey does downgrade them a little bit. I think B- is still positive for Rangnick's first tournament in charge of this side, and I think there are positives to take. Next up, France. Now, France are another team who should be favourites for the tournament, but just like England, they have not inspired so far. They finished off 5 points, which is the same as England did. Obviously, they won the opening game against Austria, but then a 0-0 draw to the Dutch and a 1-1 draw with Poland, before more or less edging past Belgium with a 85th minute Jan Vertonghen own goal, I think it was in the end. Unimpressed. What did I give England? Did I give England a C? I think you gave England a C. I'll give France a C as well. I think, yes, they should be one of the favourites for the tournament, but they haven't proved that so far, and they do need to be doing better than that, do Didier Deschamps' men. I think a C is fair, and I do expect more of France to come. Next up, we have the Dutch, who I'm actually tempted to give them more than I gave to France. Yes, they beat Poland on the opening day and ended up losing to Austria. It was a decent draw with France in there, however, and it was a good performance against Romania, which is more than can be said for France's performance against Belgium, really. I see the Dutch getting to either the semi-final or the final, depending on what happens in that matchup versus the Dutch, presuming they beat the Turks, and the winner of Switzerland versus England. I'll give the Dutch a C+. I think they should be looking better, but there are some decent players in that side, and it's not as strong as Dutch sides of the past. Van Dijk is not as young as he once was, and while I do think it's a good side, it doesn't seem like it has gelled together particularly well. However, if anything, I'm using that as a positive for them, because I think they have still found a way to grind out what's been needed. They finished third on 4 points in the group, and I'm not going to say I've been impressed with them. I'm not putting them as one of the sort of 4 teams I think will win the tournament from this last 8, but they could have been worse, and I think a C+ is fair. And then last but not least, Poland. I don't know if I watched any of Poland, I'm going to be honest. I don't think if I did, they were entirely unforgettable. I'm sure I would have seen 1 or 2 of the games, but I've watched pretty much every game. But very, very uninspired by this Polish display. Lewandowski's not the striker he once was, and I think we all knew and know this. The Poles, D, standard D. It was a difficult group to get out of, and I think they will recognise that, but they weren't inspiring. I think a D is fair. Moving into Group E now, and top of the group with Romania. Now again, this is another one where this group, obviously we all know it was a 4-4-4-4. Every team in this finished on 4 points, and they're all going to be graded pretty similarly because of that. Because even though Ukraine, yes, they finished bottom, they finished bottom on goal difference. A 3-goal swing more or less has put them bottom. To start with Romania, I think they would have been voted higher had I done this video just a couple of days ago, because now with them being knocked out, it was a very, very good opening display against Ukraine. We can't forget how good that was. That's at the end of the day, that's what put them top and put Ukraine bottom. Had that been 0-0, then Romania would have finished bottom, I think. Well, had that, no, yeah, of course, because they wouldn't have got the points. Had it been 1-0, they would have -2, -1. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have finished bottom. There was a loss to Belgium in there, and then obviously that draw versus Slovakia on the final day. They got destroyed by the Dutch, and I think that's fair. For Romania, I'm going to be giving them a B-. I don't think the expectation for the Romanians was to qualify from this group, especially with Belgium and Ukraine being in there. I probably would have tipped them as being one of the third place sides. I don't even know if I would have done. I reckon I probably would have put them bottom. But actually, because I'm going to give them a C. They won the group. Yes, they won the group on 4 points, but they won the group, and I think you've got to give them credit for that. So Romania, I'm going to give a C to. Belgium, obviously out of the tournament now after their loss to France. Belgium, I'm going to give a D to. This golden generation hasn't gone far. I saw it wasn't Hazard, who was it? It was De Bruyne. Hazard doesn't play football anymore, Daniel. God, I feel old saying that. it was De Bruyne who came out sort of saying, well, you know, France and England and Germany and Spain have all had golden generations at the same time. And I think part of that's true. I don't think they particularly have had the same kind of level. But Belgium wasn't ever a golden generation. It's time we all admit this. It was De Bruyne and Hazard's prime. A Spurs defence. That's not a golden generation. I know it might be for Belgium, but it's not, and they couldn't have expected to do anything more than finishing third in one World Cup, which is understandable, I think, for that side. I think it's going to have to be a D-, simply because expectations would have been higher than to get knocked out in the round of 16, but the side of the draw they fell on, it is understandable. However, they should have won that group. Had they won that group, had they beat Ukraine on the final day, then they would have finished top. Third place, Slovakia, obviously now out of the tournament after the 2-1 loss to England. But I thought the Slovaks looked alright. The 1-0 win against Belgium, the opening day, was obviously a very, very promising victory. And to beat that Belgium side, you know, it is something that Slovakia can be proud of. The loss to Ukraine did then definitely derail them, with then the draw against Romania, meaning they did finish third in a game that we probably all could have imagined would have ended up as a draw. But they looked alright versus us. You know, they defended well, they defended deep, they did what they needed to do. Look, we got unlucky, I think it's fair to say, did England. Hit the post and offside and all of that. You can't equate those things down to Slovakia playing well in that game. That game could have easily been 3 or 4, and I think the press are forgetting that. We would have been lucky if it was 3 or 4, but it could have been. Because that can't put Slovakia too high. But they did progress from a difficult group. I'll give them a C+. And last but not least, Ukraine. Now, I thought Ukraine were going to qualify, and on 4 points, it's harsh they didn't. I think they are the only Euro side in history to go out of the competition on 4 points. Yeah, they did look okay. They looked good, in all honesty, didn't they? They did look good. So what am I going to give Ukraine? There were definitely some positive displays in there. It was that opening game week defeat to Romania that knocked them really with that win against Slovakia, and then a decent draw versus Belgium. I'll give Ukraine a D+. I don't think I can give them a C because simply they didn't progress. But getting knocked out on 4 points is certainly tough. And then last but not least, moving into Group F now. Sided top of the group was Portugal. Obviously, Portugal have progressed to the next round after their penalty shootout win versus Slovenia. Slovenia. Knew I got that one. Have they looked that good? Really, not particularly. That final game week defeat to Georgia, did show some holes in that side. I don't think Portugal will go on and win this tournament, and I don't think I'm particularly saying anything that shocks anybody by me saying that. They have France in the next round, and I expect France to win that game, to be honest. What will I give Portugal? I'll give Portugal a C+. I think a C+ is fair there. Turkey made it into the last 8, and I think that win against Austria really does boost them in my rankings here. Yes, they were poor against Portugal, but wins against Georgia, Czech Republic, and Turkey, or Turkey as I think they're wanting to be known now, and Czechia as well, I guess, isn't it? Wins against Georgia, Czechia, and Turkey. I thought, no, they didn't beat Turkey. Turkey did not beat Turkey. Turkey beat Austria. Turkey, I'll give them a B-. Actually, I'll give them a B. They're into the quarterfinals, and I think Turkey ending up in the quarterfinals, considering the flops that we all witnessed last tournament and potentially the flops that we were expecting to witness again. I think getting into the last 8 is fair, and I could see them progressing against the Dutch as well. So I think B is certainly fair. 2 more teams now, and one of these is Georgia, who did obviously progress to the last 16 before getting knocked out by Spain. Now, Georgia, I'm going to be honest, I'm giving them an A. Georgia are the lowest ranked side in this competition, and they made it to the last 16 with a win against Portugal. That is absolutely impressive, and definitely deserves plaudits. Georgia deserve an A, full stop. I know they haven't progressed any further, and I know they are knocked out now. If I were doing this, early on in the week, I would have given them an A+. I think the fact that they're the lowest ranked side and they progressed to the next round is absolutely excellent. I think they do deserve that. Then last but not least, Czechia, uninspiring. 1 draw against Georgia in there, but losses to Portugal and Turkey. It's going to be a D- for Czechia. So there we go. There is me grading every single nation's Euros so far. What do you make to my suggestions? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you all again in the next video. See ya!